Hello and welcome back. This is Tool 12, the Grand Unified Theory of Negotiation. And this is where we close the circle and we tie up all the loose ends and we integrate all the tools we've done into this one overarching worksheet, the Goblin's Planning Worksheet that we started with. So the takeaway here is that you are in control of this process. You can be as proactive as you want to be, and I want that to be very proactive. You can take the lead here, and the way you do that is to use all these tools that we've been discussing, but the trick is to work backwards from the final style. Okay, we're going to go through all the process of the Goblin's worksheet, and there it is. And then down here, the second to the last thing, actually the last thing, is the ending style. And that's what this whole process is key to. So everything works backwards from your ideal successful business model, which is the final style. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video, or in the next video. But the big issue here is that variable selection, selecting the right variables as your goal selection and as your tactical plan, creating the right variables is your main predictor of success. If you get the right variables, you're halfway home. And that's what we're focusing on in this course. So the table of contents for this section, for this last tool, looks a lot like the Goblin's Planning Worksheet. So we're starting where we finished up, but now we're integrating everything. So we're going to be looking at goals, BATNA, and objectives in the first half of this, which corresponds to the top half of our planning worksheet. And then we'll be looking at scoping, scoring, which is the wins matrix, and styles in the second half, and that's our tactical plan. So we start off with strategic goals. Strategy and strategic goals are ambitious, they are directed, and they move the organization forward. We talk a lot about the difference between strategy and tactics in this course, and people have this misconception that strategy is long-term and tactics are short-term, but that's an oversimplification. There are two main sources of strategic goals. Sometimes you're working off other people's goals. And that's fine. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you work in sales or if you work in purchasing or many other departments, and someone has said, here is your goal, here's your brief. Your job is to understand it, to get buy-in, to align your methods with their methods, and to make sure that you are able to execute the other people's goals. Then you head down to the tactics section. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're coming up with your own strategic plan, then your job is to make this detailed enough and granular enough that you can turn around and turn your strategy into the tactics of other people. You can get other people to execute your goal. And that's what makes an organization powerful. All right, so there we see goals up at the very top. Strategic goals are defining where you want your organization to be and in what time frame. So all we're doing here is prescribing where we want the organization to go. And that is going to be the top end of our strategic gap, the strat gap tool that we learned earlier. If strategic goals are optimistic, then BATNA, or bottom line, is very grounded in reality. The BATNA, as we're using it, teaches you when to walk away and when not to. First pass is figuring out how long you can stay alive. That is the purpose of the first pass BATNA analysis. For our purposes, though, BATNA is going to be used to help us set our bottom line. BATNA is going to influence and sometimes control, but not directly determine our end variables when we get to the tactical side. All right, and there we see best alternative at the bottom of our strategic range. And the BATNA Tools is the 3 phases of BATNA, which we've discussed. And this also sets the near end or the bottom end of your strat gap. This tells you what you already have. Now we're going to round out our strategy section by looking at specific objectives. The objective is what the part of the deal, the part of your strategic goal that you want from the person that you're going to be sitting across the table from. This is the piece of the puzzle that is missing, that you want the other side to provide. So with objective, you are describing what you want in a specific transaction from a specific person. It is the piece of the puzzle. So one of the first things I want you to describe is, are you a partner or are you just transacting? Are you a partner or a player? And if you are a partner, and many of our deals, especially our complex cross-cultural deals, there's going to be a partnership involved. There's going to be some kind of relationship. So next thing I want you to decide is, are you the captain of the boat? Are you steering the boat and deciding where to go? Or are you a passenger? Are you contracting with another party to bring you from point A to point B? And for now, in the strategy section, I want you to be qualitative. I want you to be descriptive. We'll get to the numbers in a minute, but now I just want you to describe what jobs you want the other party to provide, what services you want from them, what products, whatever you want them to give you. I want you to articulate that, write that down, and then to start to apply values to it. So there are the variables, and this is our wish list. It's a sophisticated wish list. It's grounded in fact, but these are the things we want. You'll notice I also include relationship here, and include relationship here, and I talk about it here. So yeah, relationship is going to play a role here. But the tools for the objective are smart goal setting. I want you to be able to be specific, but still describe in qualitative terms what you want from the other side. This is also a place where you can start to incorporate your stakeholder analysis from the stakeholder management tool, and you can decide what different people want and who you have to pay attention to. And this is particularly important about analyzing your side of the equation. What do your people want? The last thing you want to do is negotiate a deal with the counterparty and then come back later and say, well, my lawyer and my accountant want these extra clauses. Figure that out first, then start negotiating. If you're doing cross-culture, or if you're negotiating with someone whose corporate culture is very different from yours, run an AA matrix analysis, and that will feed back into the objective section. Remember, strategy is all internal. You're not sharing this with the partner or the counterparty yet. This is all within your team. So this is where you set goals, and you're going to set ambitious, smart, strategic goals. You're going to establish a BATNA. Don't let the best in BATNA confuse you. BATNA might mean best alternative to no agreement, but it's still a bad option.